Hi, everyone. My name is Karen McMullen, and I'm a features programmer at Doc NYC. I'm very pleased to welcome our director for The Jump here today. Her name is Giedre Zickyte, or close, something like that, right? How'd I do?
Yeah, thank you. You did great.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing your film with Doc NYC. So let's jump in. You're Lithuanian, like the lead character. How did you come to know about his story and what made you decide to make this film?
Yeah. Interestingly, I heard about Sima's story when I was in Los Angeles, in United States. I hadn't heard the story before in Lithuania. So I was with my other movie, and then somebody from the audience, based on my previous film, they told, "Oh, have you heard this story about this extraordinary jump for freedom by Lithuanian man?" I told, "No, I hadn't heard it." And he told, "Oh, we think you will be interested in," because I was talking about freedom subject, like topics, everything. And really, here in Lithuania, I mean, nobody knew the story so much, because when everything happened, of course, the Soviet press was not writing about this. They didn't want to inspire other people, you know, from the for the same for the same act. So, but this story was going like from lips to lips in form of rumors. And I don't remember in school also we were not studying this story. Then, of course, later I started Googling. I found some articles, interviews with him, but the biggest amount of information that I could find was in United States. It was like in 70s press. So, and then, of course, I started this journey. And when I started, I couldn't imagine that it will lead me all this way. And, you know, that this jump will be just the beginning of my character story. So, and of course, it took time, like everything in documentary. The best thing is the time to get to know the character, to see what I can do with this film, because a story happened, and I know how it's hard to tell something that already happened and how to tell it emotionally, not to have just like only like interview, talking head, and so it really took like quite of time, even to film on the actual ship. When I heard that there is like the real ship where everything happened, the incident had happened, it took me 1.5 years to get permission and to go there. And when I finally landed on, you know, on the deck, I couldn't believe until the last moment that I will make it. And that I will be able to bring my character almost in his 90s. And I'm very thankful for him that he agreed to go with me for this journey. But it also needed time, because we both realized the motivation why we're doing this film. And when he saw our devotion, the devotion of our crew, he also started trusting us. And somehow I started to feel that it also became very important for him. And it was like as his therapy, all this to relive his life in all these actual locations.
Yeah, that was really a great opportunity you gave him to go back and revisit such an important part of his life. Talk about, besides getting on the ship, talk about some other challenges you might have faced in making the film. And were any of the participants in any danger? You know, was Seamus able to come back easily, or, you know, just talk about any challenges you might have had there?
I am sorry. What do you mean in danger to come back?
Well, was he allowed to come back easily? I mean, was he able to travel freely?
Yes, we are in a free world now. This is the best. I mean, this is why I'm doing this film. I am now live in a free country. I can do film what I want. I don't need to show to government what I'm doing. We can travel, you know, we can cross the border. We don't need to jump ship anymore because And because, I mean, the act what Simas made, it's actually a very simple act. In normal society, it just simply wouldn't happen, this kind of thing. Because in normal society, you travel where you want, you listen to music what you like, and he just, but during the Cold War, the situation was so different, and the country where he lived, the system was so different. So even you had to do the most extraordinary, the most craziest acts, what one could be able ever to imagine. I was very interested in this subject. I mean, how this simple behavior of a simple man just turned into such a symbol and turned into, because it touched so many million people, because he hit something what was always injustice, and this desire for freedom. It was something very universal, what it was in the people's minds. And interestingly, when I remember, like few years ago, when I was still editing this film and was looking at the archives, this massive reaction by American society when they all went into the street, what was for me the most beautiful part of the story, how people reacted. For a man they didn't know anything about, just a single photo which he left in the ship, how we worked for him, went out in the streets and not only demonstrated, we contacted congressmen, contacted press, and really worked weeks, months, years for his release. And I remember, I just mentioned, I don't imagine nowadays in society that somebody will go on the streets for one man. And look what happened just some months ago, also for one man. It's just because there are some things that resonate in society suddenly, something, and it's not so much maybe about this one person, like this person becomes a symbol of something that is in society very important, that his story gives for society to say something that is so important for them. And speaking about challenges, I think my biggest challenge was to tell this story, to edit this story, how to tell this for international audience, because I myself, I am from this part of the world, and I was still born in totalitarian system, and I really understand what was Simas running from. And here in international, like outside Lithuania, I mean, in America, even many people will not know what is Lithuania. It's a very small country, only 3 million people. And at the same time, so how to transfer this, but not to make it as a history lesson, and on the other hand, I just realized it's very hard. It's very hard to explain. And the only thing, it's like this metaphor of prison. Because if you say, okay, he wanted to jump out, a person wants to run away from a prison. And then nobody has the questions why he wants to run away from a prison. Because it's clear that nobody wants, I mean, these things, these concepts of freedom and prison is something that we get from the very birth, maybe, that something is in our blood, this constant desire to be free, even if it's just a simple wish to see palms or buy a Grundig tape recorder, like for my character. It's just a very simple thing of a simple man. But in a normal life, in a normal society, you have to be able, to do this without jumping ships.
Yeah, well, that's why, the film resonates with so many people, because it is a universal desire just to be free. Yeah, so beautiful. So has Simas seen the film?
He still hadn't seen the whole movie, but he saw like rough cuts and some parts of the film. And I really want him to see the film in a big screen when it is, because now, for the obvious reasons, we avoid contact, and I'm waiting until it will be more secure, and that I can bring him, because he lives, as you've seen, in a small city, that I could bring him here. Actually, it's my dream to bring him to the theater, my friends have a theater, and even before premiere, to see him and that he could see a movie alone, but in a big screen.
That would be so nice. He would be wonderful during a Q&A. It would be great to meet him in real life, I'm sure. He seems like such a character. So are you planning when things reopen to show it in Lithuania?
Yes, yes, we already booked theatrical release, and we will follow the pandemic situation if it still will be very. Uh, at the moment, the theaters are open here, but with restrictions. So we are planning to release in the beginning of next year, and we will see how it will be. So, yes, of course, we are planning.
Um, did Seamus ever meet any of the Americans that were on the ship, Captain Eustace or anybody after
To
his?
tell the truth, he met, and we even filmed that. But during the editing process, we decided to not, because when it would be different film, yeah, he met the officers, and it was very emotional meetings. But when you are making the film, sometimes the most emotional parts of the story you need to killing, like kill your darlings. This is this expression in documentary film, because you know, if you will, it was, if you will put it in the end, when it becomes film about forgiving, in the beginning you still don't understand the story and you don't know why they're so emotional. So until the very last minute, the scenes are very beautiful. We just moved from one. Yeah, maybe, yeah, we will think, maybe we will share these films for some extra, some additional we will have. Yes, yes, we met. And Captain is still, because now I'm writing, we know that the film will be released, and yeah, so I think it's also emotional for the officers too. This
Wow,
time.
I would love, you know, when we used to have DVDs, you could put additional scenes on the DVDs, you know? It would be,
Yeah,
I would love to see those scenes.
we
Well, it's
will
wonderful.
think
That
something, but I'm sure, because I'm sure that the officers, Mr. Ralph and Mr. Pecos and their friends now are watching this film. We will watch this premiere in New York. So I'm just giving my best regards, and I know that we will find the form how still to show these clips, yeah, separately.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts about your film. It's a very heartwarming film, and I can see why it has a lot of heart. You have a lot of heart, and it comes through in the movie. Um, Congratulations, and good luck with the film going forward. And with that, that's the end of our Q&A. So thanks again to Giedre, and
Thank you very much. I'm
yeah,
very proud to be part of your program.
we're
And
very happy that you shared your film with us. Thank you.